We ask your special graces and blessings upon those of our fellow citizens now suffering in Georgia and in Florida and in Texas and in Louisiana. Be with them, assist them, keep them well, aid in their recovery. We also ask your graces to be bestowed upon the survivors of those 3,000 Americans murdered 16 years ago today. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening, public hearing for the application alcohol license by Ms. Susan Webb, doing business as Jackson Events. Now is the time and place for public hearing and application for alcohol license for Susan Webb, doing business as Jackson Events. Ms. Phillips, will you share the particulars, please?
The applicant is Susan Webb, doing business as Jackson Events LLC. Type of license is special events retail, 7 days or less. The location is inside the parking area adjacent to 143 East Laurel Street. There were no objections to buy businesses or residences located near that property. Nearest church and school, footage requirements are met. License application is in order, held fire and building inspections comply, and zoning verification complies.
I believe this application is for the barbecue cook-off event. Is that correct? I see Ms. Webb here. Is there anyone else here in favor of this application? Anyone else here? Thank you, Mr. Goodowens. Anyone here opposed to this application? Anyone opposed? Due to timing constraints, we will put this on tonight's agenda, and we will need a motion to set the rules aside.
I'll make that motion.
We'll do that. Thank you. Second is discuss resolution to raise subdivision and site plan regulations application fee. You have some information now in your packet, I believe. Mr. Mayor, you want to go over that for us?
I'm going to defer to Josh.
Okay, Josh.
The Planning Commission in the July 11th meeting passed a resolution to raise the application fees from $150 to $200, and this would cover the cost of the advertisement and the registered letters being sent out to the homeowners and the neighbors. And this will be in line with the zoning that we increased. I believe the council increased it about 3 months ago.
Any questions or discussion?
Mr. President, I think this is the first time that this raise will have taken place since 1985.
Any other discussion?
Is it accurate to say that you checked other towns? And did I not hear that a week ago or so?
We did the lowest.
We
We were the lowest at the time. We're about even now. Some of them were higher than this. Some of them I think was 300.
You mean if we pass this, then we'll be about even?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or discussion? We'll set this on the agenda for this evening. Thank you. Next is discuss 2017-2018 employee health care contract. Mr. Mayor, who are you going to defer that to? Okay.
I can defer to Aaron. We had discussed this work session, budget work session, but this is, you got the rates in front of you here from Blue Cross Symmetra plan and Blue Cross EBS plan. EBS was the secondary provider last year. What you've got here is the proposed rates with health insurance and dental being furnished by the city. Plus, we're requesting to add a new benefit for the employees, a $25,000 life insurance policy, which they haven't had in years past.
Any questions? I've met with the mayor about this, and I feel good about the changes that are proposed. Do we can set this tonight?
Please. So we can start an enrollment.
And also an enrollment period?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll set this on the agenda for this evening. Next is, discuss equipment operator 2, job description for cemetery department. You have a copy of that in your packet. Are there any questions, concerns, discussion? I take that as none of the above, and I'll set that for this evening. Reports will be given at the end of the council meeting. We'll take a 2-minute recess. Just bear with me quickly. Council to order. We'll dispense with the formalities. The agenda this evening will be a public hearing in the application of Ms. Susan Webb for alcohol license. Second will be a change in resolution to adjust the fees for planning application. Third will be to approve healthcare contract for the city employees. And fourth will be to approve the job description for equipment operator class 2 for the cemetery department. I'll hear a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Stewart makes a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Smith seconds. Any discussion? All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, you have a copy of previous minutes in your packet. I'll hear a motion to approve previous minutes. Ms. Butler makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stewart seconds. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being no old business, we'll move to new business. First is a public hearing for alcohol license for Ms. Susan Webb. I'll hear a motion to set the rules aside.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Patrick Stewart makes a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Smith seconds. Now is the time and place for public hearing and application by Ms. Susan Webb doing business as Jackson County Events. Ms. Phillips, will you share the particulars with us again, please?
The applicant is Susan Webb, doing business as Jackson Events LLC. Type of license is special events retail, 7 days or less, located inside the parking area adjacent to 143 East Laurel Street. There were no objections to businesses or residents. The nearest church and school footage requirements were met. License application is in order. Health, fire, and building inspections comply, and zoning verification complies.
And again, has anyone else shown up in support of this application? Anyone opposed to this application? Being none, this concludes the public hearing and application for alcohol license for Ms. Susan Barnes. I'll hear a motion to approve the application. Susan Webb, I'm sorry, Susan. I thought I was at church. I had a motion and a second to set the rules aside, but we didn't vote. That's a roll call vote.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wallingford?
Yes. Now I'll hear a motion to approve the application.
I make that motion.
Mr. Stewart makes the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Smith seconds. Any discussion? All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I apologize. Next is resolution to adjust application fee for the planning commission. I'll hear a motion to approve the resolution.
I make that motion.
Mr. Patrick Stewart makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Butler seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Next is to approve the proposed changes to the healthcare coverage for city employees. I'll hear a motion to approve the Blue Cross Blue Shield's, is that Symetra? Is that how you pronounce that, Mr. Mayor? Symetra contract for the city employees.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Smith makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Butler seconds. Any discussion?
That would include the life insurance policy as well, correct?
I would assume, is that your motion, Mr. Smith?
It's what on here, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me clarify.
Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And next is to approve job description for cemetery department equipment operator 2. I'll hear a motion to approve the job description.
I make that motion.
Mr. Stewart makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Phillips, or Ms. Butler seconds. Having a rough evening. Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Move to delegations. Mr. J. Hutchins.
I'm having
Got
a weed,
5 minutes.
that's fine. I'm having a weed nuisance problem on Garden Drive. I brought it up with a few of you before, offline. My wife and I have been dealing with it for the past year and a half. We spoke with Daniel Pierce about the time it was election time. We were told basically wait and see how the election turns out and see if we can get any resolution of it. No resolution has come. We spoke with Daniel Pierce actually just last week. He told us the property owner, Hunter Harding, told him he's not going to mow it basically unless a court order happens from him. He also said that because previously the city was mowing it, taking care of the property, and apparently Mayor Potter said no more of that because for whatever reason. But anyways, when Mr. Pierce came by the house this past Friday, he said that the city attorney had advised you to no longer mow it because it had returned to nature. Now this property, it's talking about the weed nuisance that we currently have in effect is basically it's talking about when it goes talking about nature. It says that uncultivated and unseeded land in a state of nature, but any growth on land once it has been cleared or plowed is not in a natural condition. Now the property that I'm speaking of is the one that Maples Building is on. It's appraised at $3.4 million. That's developed. There's I actually have pictures of the property if you guys would like to see them. I mean, it's 5-6 foot tall. And when Mr. Pierce was at our house and told us basically that it had returned to maintenance, the city's no longer going to do maintenance on it, he also advised us that we should pay for the materials ourselves and just spray over the fence. Now, to me, I shouldn't have to come out of my pocket and take care of somebody else's problem. I also have the Jackson County tax assessor maps where it shows that one property affects 9 homes on that particular piece. So basically what's been going on for the past year and a half is we've been getting a runaround on this. And now we've got, as you can see, 5-6 foot tall, basically saplings behind our house. And that's on the same property that the city's drainage ditch runs along and goes back by Caldwell Park and Caldwell Walking Trail. I mean, is there anything we can do to get something done?
How close is that to your property?
That fence that's in one of those pictures is on my property. Well, the fence is owned by the other establishment, or the other LLC is what it's in. But that is my property line, the back end of my property line, as well as the 9 other homes that one property affects is on the back end of their property. Everybody's property butts against it.
Mr. Kendall, my understanding is kind of like he just said, once it's cleared, it's got to stay that way, and I don't think by delaying, and it grows back up, it kind of backdoor way of getting back into its natural state. I don't know, is that valid?
I think it's a good argument. I think looking at the facts deeply will show that a previous mayor, long-performing pot, actually went on to private property, this property, and cleaned it up with city resources.
Well, it actually,
That was illegal and improper.
actually, no, sir, it's not. According to Alabama code, it says that the city can
Yes,
do
sir.
that. And
It's illegal.
it says that the city can actually place a tax lien on it.
Only if we go through a certain procedure, which was not done.
Right, which is actually done by the many members of the city council.
Yes, sir, they're aware of that. But at the time that it was cleaned up, originally years ago, it was done without any city council authorization and without any authorization of law.
Correct, I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I'm saying is today, can we move forward with something?
So the problem, of course, is when something is in nature and the city improperly cleans it, you have it makes the issue a lot murkier.
Well, that was in years past. I'm asking for today, the here and now.
You file your complaint with Mr. Pierce,
I've done that, sir.
there's a process.
I've done that. Where do I go now?
Go to Mr. Pierce, and take it before the abatement board.
So who do I talk to make Mr. Pierce do his job then? Because we have spoke with Mr. Pierce on numerous occasions with no resolve.
You start with Mr. Pierce, and then I believe you go before the abatement board.
Well, where is the abatement board at? Where can I find it?
Get it from Mr. Pierce. It's a public board that meets, deals with housing and things of that nature.
Okay.
If I may, let me follow up with Daniel. He mentioned this property to me, or part of it, and I told him that we were getting the alternative sentence coordinator in place, and it may be something that we could use people to go on private property. They would be doing that under court order to work off their sentence. He and I had that discussion about a week ago. We've not had a follow-up discussion. Let he and I discuss it. We now have that employee in place. Judge Grider has to be involved. So that's also a possibility there.
How soon could I expect some hear back from you?
Probably by Friday or first of next week.
Okay.
Does Daniel have your number?
He should. He stopped by my house on Friday, sir.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Kelly Goodowens.
Margaret, you barely go back. There's a problem with that process of more application.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Appreciate y'all letting me speak again. A couple of weeks ago, I brought in a partial application for barbecue cook-off and asking for $3,000 from the tourism fund to assist us in putting this together. I only had partial information at that time. This is the submission of the rest of the information you require for your application. I would also like to go in front of the council and the chief of police and the mayor and ask for permission to close off one block of Laurel Street and one block of Market Street at the square for approximately 27 hours the night before and the day of the barbecue cook-off, which is October 14th of this year.
That's the inside of the store.
Yeah, and inside of the courthouse, as we did last year.
Thank you,
Also,
Chief. That was
I was sitting there wondering the same.
Also, as you'll see on that, the different categories of donors, if you guys approve the $3,000 we're asking for from the fund, then you will be listed as a state sponsor, and you'll, all those benefits will accrue. You'll have a banner with the tourism fund logo and announcement that they have contributed to the completion of the plans.
Thank you, Kelly. We'll set it for the work session.
Okay.
Next work session next week.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, quick.
Yes.
This property, I just got to, it says not for profit, yes, does that mean, yes, it is for profit, or yes, it isn't?
It is a not-for-profit organization.
It's
The
not-
DRA.
You're not doing it for profit, then, or,
No, it all gets funneled back into the next.
it's kind of a, we need to change that a little bit.
Yeah. Little confusing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Kelly. Ms. Pat Henderson.
Hi, how are you doing? We are from the Scottsboro High School Band Boosters. I'm the secretary, and this year we are planning on putting on our first ever band competition. Our students haven't had new uniforms for the band since 2006. It's going to take about 150 uniforms, which adds up to about $52,000. So what we're planning on doing in October is having a marching festival or band competition. And what we're asking for is for the tourism grant to help us to raise some of the funds for that. I didn't bring you all copies. I think Whitney has a copy of our application. And we are asking for $5,500. That's specifically what we are going to use that for, is advertising, the brochures, the transportation for our showcase band as well. Alabama A&M is supposed to come and perform at the end of the competition. The competition, we are hoping we are going to accept 25 bands. If we have 25 bands, that's going to bring 25 schools into our area. It's going to bring 25 cities into our area. Right now, we have applications coming in. I think we have 6 bands signed up for it as of today. But if we have the number that we're hoping for, it's going to bring anywhere from, 2 to 3,000 probably people into our city. If approved too, within our brochures, right now, the only way that we're getting any funds are donations through businesses here in the area. We do have several businesses that are helping us as well. The brochures are going to include their advertisements. It's also, if approved for the tourism grant, we're going to also donate a full page to the city so the city council can welcome these guests into our city.
When the council has had an opportunity to go over this, I'll set it for a work session for discussion. Okay, when are you trying to do the event?
I'm sorry.
Date of the event is October 21st?
October 21st, yes.
Okay. I guess we better do that pretty quickly.
Thank you.
We'll move to reports, Mr. Mayor.
I don't have anything.
Ms. Butler.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Stewart.
I'm gonna miss the barbecue cook-off this year, and I'm the reigning ribs champion. Just gonna throw that out there. And reserve champion, but someone else can bestow that on this year. I'll be back the year after. That's all I have.
Are you sure you're not gonna be busy with all those children that you're gonna have running
That's the
around.
reason why I'm not, being this year.
Mr. Smith?
I don't have anything.
The only thing that I would offer is please be safe this evening. I know that the storms aren't going to hit us as severely as they had originally predicted, but there will be high winds, and I hope everybody will remain safe. As Mr. Kimber said, please remember those that have been displaced by the storms last week and this week in your prayers this evening. With that, I'll hear a motion to.
Are we gonna?
I'm sorry. Pardon me, I'm off my game tonight. We will continue this council meeting until Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, at which time we will continue with the budget hearing. So we will stand in recess until then.